everyone. Hello and welcome in. A little bit of an informal video here this afternoon, but I wanted to talk about briefly the Brian O'Neill extension that the Minnesota Vikings got done this week and solidified our right tackle spot for at least the next 5 to 7 years, it feels like. So I'm not going to go into specific details about the number of years and the value, the cap space, all those things. I just want to get a quick point across that this is the right investment. Whether or not you disagree with the amount of money that they spent or the amount of years that they gave him, this is the right investment, because what have we as Vikings fans collectively been complaining about for what feels like forever, for at least the last 4 to 5 years, and that has been the offensive line. So Brian O'Neill, a second-round pick out of Pitt, who has been with the team since he was drafted, is only 25 years of age, has proven to be a pretty solid right tackle, and I think we saw that last year. This is what we need to be doing. This is honestly the right direction. We need to be investing in the offensive line in order for it to get better, and this is how you do it. Now, is it a little bit expensive? Yes, but having a good offensive line is probably going to be expensive. So this is the first step in the right direction, and that is making sure that Brian O'Neill stays with the Minnesota Vikings for the majority of his career. This is an extension of his rookie deal. I think towards the end, this could end up being quite a steal for the Minnesota Vikings. So credit where credit is due to the front office for being able to make this team friendly at the back end of it, which I hope that continues to be the case. So we have Brian O'Neill locked up and solidified at the right tackle position. What makes this kind of interesting is that you kind of look at the offensive line with a glass half full kind of approach, and you can sort of think to yourself, hey, maybe if this works out, we might have something here. So, on the left tackle position right now, we have Rashad Hill. Obviously, that's not great, but the future is Christian Darrisaw, and whenever that future begins is a question mark, but the future is Christian Darrisaw. And if he ends up panning out as a, solid first-round left tackle, then we've got the bookends of the offensive line figured out, and then we just have to figure out the interior. Maybe Garrett Bradbury figures out his first-round pedigree and becomes a dependable center. Maybe Ezra Cleveland really does adapt to his new position. Remember, he was drafted out of Boise State as an offensive tackle and not an interior offensive lineman. And hell, maybe even Oli Udoh is the diamond in the rough that most teams can only hope to come across. So, a lot of things have to happen. That's a lot of ifs. I understand that. But really, honestly, if you look at it with a glass half full approach, maybe this is the start of some good things. And maybe by the end of the season, we have a better idea of what the offensive line is like. And maybe we start complaining about it just a little bit less. Now, I don't think that it's completely going to go away. There's always going to be issues with the offensive line because it's 5 guys on the field at the same time, the same unit, hoping that they all gel together for an entire season. That's a pretty tall order, but for right now, this is a step in the right direction. They need to be spending a lot of money on the offensive line. Having said that, I do want to address another aspect to this deal, and this also includes the Harrison Smith deal, the Everson Griffin signing, and all the other signings and extensions that we have done for the past 6 months. And that is that after the Brian O'Neill extension was announced, the Kirk stands on social media took to their accounts rather quickly, I might add, to point out the fact that we were able to extend Brian O'Neill despite the Kirk Cousins bloated contract still existing on this roster's books. And they're using this as proof of concept that despite Kirk Cousins being 15 to 16% of the total salary cap for this franchise, that we can still sign big name players. And I understand where they're coming from, but unfortunately their logic is flawed. You are already playing with money that is on the books. If anything, extending Harrison Smith and Brian O'Neill saved you a little bit of cap space. As far as, not being able to sign big names because of a contract that is 15 to 16% of the salary cap, I would argue that still stands, because here's the deal. You could have Harrison Smith and Brian O'Neill, which we now do thanks to their extensions. You also could have had Joe Thuney on top of all of that if you would have had enough money. Trey Hendrickson, same deal. There was a couple other names that we weren't able to sign, like Carl Lawson. We missed out on a lot of big name free agents this past year. And yes, we did get some good free agents like Patrick Peterson, Bashad Breeland, Dalvin Tomlinson, but those weren't huge splash free agent names, right? Joe Thuney would absolutely have been a big splash free agent name, but unfortunately, I think that they were just too far apart in terms of numbers and contract they were unable to come to an agreement. So it is a, the extension of Brian O'Neill is a proof that the Vikings can still do business with the mega contract that Kirk Cousins currently has. I mean, he's going to be, what, a $45 million cap hit next year? He's 31 this year. Those are huge numbers, right? I think he's the second highest cap hit next year in the entire league. Maybe not now after the TJ Watt deal in Pittsburgh got announced today, but I haven't looked at those numbers yet either. The point is, the overall arcing point is one of two things. Number one, you missed out on all the big free agents this offseason because of that contract. It's not proof of concept just because you can extend players you already have and dump money into later years. You still missed out on Joe Thuney. You still missed out on, Trey Hendrickson, Carl Lawson, all these other big-name free agents that would have immensely helped your team. Imagine an offensive line with Christian Darrisaw, Joe Thuney, Garrett Bradbury, and then either Oli Udoh or Ezra Cleveland at the other guard spot, and then Brian O'Neill. That's much better than what we have now. What we have now is probably okay, but that would have been an immense upgrade for your offensive line, which is the thing which has been a pain point for us as Vikings fans for years and years and years. The other point to this is that maybe that this is a sign that the Vikings are preparing for life after Kirk Cousins, right? Because you're not going to be able to afford all of these guys for very much longer, right? I understand that the salary cap is going to go up, and to me, it seems like that they're starting to throw money at positions where it would be a good idea to have a quarterback on a rookie contract, i.e., Kellen Mond or even somebody else that they get next year, because you look around the league and you see a lot of that, right? You see like. A good example would have been the New York Jets this year. They did sign Carl Lawson because they've got Zach Wilson on the rookie contract now. That didn't work out. He tore his, did he tear his ACL? I forget what it was. But either way, I digress. That would have been, the method that I think the Vikings would have liked to go with. So that is where I stand on this. I think it's a great deal for Brian O'Neill. It's a great deal for the Vikings. Investing in the offensive line is what we need to be doing, and we have finally done that. Now, hopefully we are able to develop Christian Darrisaw into a starter who demands a similar contract, and we're able to lure some key free agents in the future on contracts similar to his. So that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think of the Brian O'Neill deal in the comments below, and I will see you in the next one. Enjoy Bucks versus Cowboys tonight to open the season. Have a good one.